Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Motion, the meeting summary passes as distributed. Item 3 is the TIP amendment to 2022.120. We look forward to the staff presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. It seeks to fulfill the City of Tucson's request to shift roughly $4.2 million of FTA 5307 apportionment funds between two procurement-related TIP IDs in fiscal 23 and to program $262,000 of remaining FTA 5307 apportionment funding for that year as well. This is effectively an accounting-driven request and would typically be administrative in nature, but per policy, the amount of funding shifted dictates that we follow the formal amendment process. This amendment was unanimously recommended for approval by the Transit Working Group and the TPC, and I am happy to answer any questions you might have.
Are there any questions from the group? Any discussion? Any questions for Mr. Ledford? I'm not seeing hands waving. If anyone does, if not, I would entertain a motion to approve the recommended approval for the TIP amendment 2022.120. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Hi, Terry. Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion, comments? Thank you very much. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item 4, the 2055 Regional Mobility and Accessibility Plan, or RMAP. Jeanette.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the Management Committee. My name is Jeanette Duran. I'm the Transportation Planning Director. I'm going to give you guys a brief update on the development of the 2055 RMAP. Okay, the RMAP working group has been busy meeting, as well as the TPC. We had 8 RMAP working group meetings to date, and we've been working with that group, mainly focusing on evaluating our performance targets and developing the in-plan project list. I'm happy to report to this committee that the TPC did approve the in-plan project list, so we can take that big step in the development of the plan and move forward into the next phases. In addition, the working group has been one-on-one with PAG staff several times throughout the summer. We work closely with your teams to develop, update the cost estimates for the projects, as well as to sort through the local funding contributions that will go into the fiscally constrained number that I'll get into in a few more slides here. We've also been working closely with Rick to make sure that the RTA project costs are reflected, and worked really closely with the committee to discuss the methodology for the development of the finance plan. So as you guys probably remember, one of the requirements of the long range plan is that our project list be fiscally constrained. So we developed a little bit of a new methodology for coming up with that fiscally constrained number. So we worked closely with your committees to make sure that everybody was on the same page and understood how we were going to go about and do that. Chris, look, you want to? Okay, thank you. That's okay. All the projects were put into our Project Explorer, and all of the jurisdictions had access to performance information to help develop the projects. And we're really confident that we got to a good place and that everybody got their priorities into the project list. We also conducted a public outreach survey, which I'll explain in a little bit, but we wanted to thank the jurisdictions for their support in helping us promote that, as well as asking some really good informed questions and helping us make that the best effort that we could. All right, so the finance plan. So revenue forecasting is a big piece of the finance plan, and we began working with the committees back in March of 2021. So that's an ongoing process, making sure that we have the best numbers as well as pretty solid methodology. So One of the big pieces to that is making sure that the underlying framework was reviewed with the committees multiple times, as well as explained to the working group so that everyone understood where those dollars were coming from and how they were factored in. One thing that we noticed is that oftentimes there was sort of double counting of money, where there was, funds. It mainly happened in the transit funds where they might have been counted twice. So we wanted to make sure we filtered through all that and made it really clear where that information was coming from. We decided to update using her forecasts from ADOT directly from their economist, as well as the RTA revenue forecast from the Eller School. We updated federal funding to reflect our current apportionments, and we did revisions to the local fund contributions and grants. This slide shows a comparison between the 2045 RMAP update, which was approved back in 2020, and the finance plan for the 2055 moving forward. You can see our fiscally constrained bottom line number, 16.2 billion for this round. That's just up slightly from the 15.1 billion from the 2020 plan. So the last plan that was approved had a 25-year planning horizon. This one has another 5 years, so it's a 30-year planning horizon, but we only went up just a little bit over $1 billion. So even though costs and inflation are rising at a much more rapid rate, our costs are still, our revenues are still just kind of holding flat. So the big piece that is different in the plan that we're working on now in the 2055 plan is that local funding contribution. So we wanted to make sure it was really clear how much local funds were being spent on regional projects, not just a full contribution or reflection of all the money you guys are spending on transportation. So just the funding that would be included in that $16.2 billion fiscally constrained number. Our data science team is wrapping up the inputs into the land use model and to the activity-based model. They've been working really closely with the POP Tech committee and one-on-one with jurisdictions to identify known residential projects and employment projects. So the POP Tech committee is made up mainly of your development service teams and planners for your agency. So it's one of those opportunities to get those folks involved and get their perspective on how development is taking place. We also worked over the past 2 years and were successful in developing a way to model the potential for redevelopment. So that was a big component of what that committee worked on along with our data science team. Population projections and socioeconomic data have been refined and they're ready for use in the model. And updates to the transit and roadway networks have also been made. So the key takeaway here is that now that in-plan project list is approved by TPC, it can move forward and we can start concluding the modeling work. So the data science team with the committees have kind of done the homework and kind of built this model, and now we're getting ready to actually run it now that we have that project list. So most folks who know me know for the past few months have been very excited about getting that project list approved. And this is mainly why, because these next important key phases of the project can begin and move forward. So this slide just shows our public engagement process. As I mentioned earlier, we conducted a region-wide public outreach survey that concluded after a 6-week campaign. We're really happy to report that we got 4,481 survey responses. So that more than doubles what we've gotten in previous planning efforts. Our efforts included a paid and non-paid multimedia campaign, English and Spanish radio, TV, print, digital kiosk, media coverage, 7 articles, and news interviews. We also had promotions through partner agencies, through nonprofits, businesses, neighborhood associations, and the like. We did social media outreach and promotions through our channels as well as through partner agencies such as the Chambers of Commerce, the Community Foundation of Southern Arizona, SACA, Green Valley Coordinating Council, and many others. Many of the ward offices also put information about our survey in their newsletters. We also had 10 drop-in events. We targeted in those drop-in events seniors, disabled, low-income folks that might have limited access to online engagement. So we wanted to make sure we were actually present where those folks would be. We also provided paper surveys. We received written and emailed comments, and we made sure that we had a variety of dates and times coordinated with several community-based organizations for their scheduled service events. So we went to some senior-specific events as well as the food bank for some of their events. So the survey is only one piece of our overall public engagement. And the survey results have been presented to the working group as well as to the TPC, and we're going to continue to dig through all those data points and prepare some more information for this committee, regional council, and ultimately in the plan document. We're moving right into phase 2 and 3 of the outreach, which we've started preparing just these past couple weeks, and that'll focus mostly on special interest groups and neighborhood open houses and events. We're really hoping to reach out to some more of those folks that might not have participated in the survey. We want to make sure that we really do our best to cover the whole region. The final step that you see on this slide will be our public comment periods, our public hearings, and then as the plan moves through the committees, that'll be the last point of our public engagement. This slide just shows our timeline and where we're at right there back in September. It's coming up quickly. So now that the project list is been finalized, we're ready to move into those GIS mapping steps or air quality modeling or ABM modeling. And then really just the last few steps there are finishing up that public engagement as well as preparing the plan document for the committee review. Ultimately, our goal is to have this thing through regional council and approved in May. So you'll probably see updates from me and our team throughout the next several meetings working up until that May approval target. I just want to take one quick second again to thank the committees and the jurisdiction staff who without their continued participation as well as sort of last minute organizing to get these things to the TPC, it wouldn't have really been possible. We had many one-on-one phone calls and meetings with different staff members and your DOT directors. And because of their participation, we were able to get the plan to this point, and we really do appreciate that. It takes a variety of your staff, not just your DOT folks, but your development services folks and your public outreach folks, as well as, a plethora of our team from myself and Hannah, as well as our public outreach folks and our data science team. So it really is a big collective effort. And because of that, we think the plan is coming along really nicely and we'll all be satisfied in May with the final document. That is all I have today. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
You mentioned, thank you very much. That was very informative. Appreciate it. You mentioned that you had been working with the working group and TPC to get some feedback, any modifications that you needed to make. Did they offer any suggestions that have been incorporated and implemented?
Madam Chair, yes, indeed. They provided many comments, and especially in that project list development. So there was a lot of just cleanup work that we did in the plan where we tried to make it a little bit more streamlined to combine efforts so that we had more regional buckets of money, if you will, that reflected sort of a bigger overall approach versus individual projects that sort of accomplish the same thing. So yeah, they provided some really great comments. We folded all of those in and also had some good feedback provided at the TPC meeting, which was also reflected in that final project list. So And then a lot of discussions just back and forth on individual projects where we wanted to make sure that the projects were accurately reflecting the scope of the project as well as the cost. And maybe so, especially the cost, just knowing how things have been changing rapidly over the past year. So.
Thank you. Any questions from the group? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Swallow. Good morning.
Morning, everyone. I understand that the demographics of the initial outreach showed lesser representation of people of color and under 50. And I wanted to just make sure that in the next outreach efforts, I know you talked that we're not done yet, there's still more coming, that you'll be looking to kind of fill the gaps that exist already in the existing outreach demographics.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Indeed, so we had about 1/3 of participants in the survey that did not self-identify. So we don't know which demographic categories they fall into. But yes, in the survey results, there were some gaps, and those are the groups that we will be focusing on in this next phase of our public outreach. The main ones were the Hispanic community as well as the under 20 folks that we're going to try to reach out to, some of the students. So we're working closely with the U of A and the community college to make sure that we can participate in some of their events and directly reach out to that under 20 crowd, as well as with our social services committees that work directly with the Hispanic community. We also will be reaching out to our partners on the working group as well, because I know we've had great success, especially with the city of South Tucson helping us promote the survey. But if there's other opportunities where we can get into those communities and reach out to some more people directly, we're going to take advantage of those opportunities over the next couple months.
Thank you. I may just mention, we'll follow up with y'all offline. I know that with Hispanic Heritage Month, we have a variety of tabling and opportunities going on down here, as well as the 3 days of Tucson Meet Yourself. Maybe we can add a table in the courthouse or something to solicit some feedback as well. So if there's things like that of which we're aware, and I'm sure all the other jurisdictions may have events like that we can provide some space for continued outreach. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We appreciate that.
Excuse me, Janet. It's Jason Bahi. Yeah, can you hear me?
I sure can. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, the Pasco Yaqui tribe has an event coming up on the 21st of this month. It's the Recognition Day festivities. If you would like to present anything or set up a booth here, let me know, and I think we can work something out.
Great. Thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you. That's what we're looking for. Anyone else? Comments? Questions? All righty. I know this was an informational item only, so we don't need to take action, but encourage you all to keep thinking of opportunities to make sure that we're reaching out to all segments of the community to get input. And I know, I believe the PAG staff would be happy to accommodate those, or at least get us the materials that we can provide, at events that we're holding as well. So, any other comments? Anything for the good of the order? Farhad, anything from you for the gang?
No, Madam Chair, thank you. And I want to echo what Jeanette said. This is a huge lift, and everybody's been very helpful in getting it to this point, and appreciate your support and your team's support. We hope to have it completed by May. And as you all know, this is critical for us to be able to tap into federal and state funds. So please do encourage everyone to help us stay on schedule.
Okay. And with that, perhaps we could all share with our bosses, what, a 28-minute meeting? Standard that we could encourage for PAG. With nothing else that I see for the good of the order, I thank you all, and the meeting is adjourned. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Jan, are you going to make that suggestion to the board?
Yeah, why don't you, Shane, go ahead. I'll tell Rex you were looking for him and need to chat. Thank you.
Bye.